another Talk About It Tuesday. And I got a question that seems to be recurring, but I don't mind answering it because I think I haven't made it abundantly clear why this thing is important to everyone. So the question was, how do you raise money? And that was the question. Can you talk about how to raise money? And why is this of value to everyone, no matter where you're at in your progression towards financial freedom? The reason is because there is a very specific and defined formula for becoming financially free. There are tools that you have to use to become financially free. And one of those things is what we call OPM, or other people's money. And I'm sure you've heard the concept other people's money, but really haven't understood why it is so important to use other people's money. First of all, you've probably been taught never to borrow money, right? You've been taught you have to, if you want something, you sacrifice and you save your money, and eventually you'll have enough. And if you can't save it, then you shouldn't have it. Well, I hate to tell you, but that's a load of crap. You will never save enough money to buy real estate. You will never save enough money to open a business. You will never save enough money to live the life of your dreams. It just doesn't work that way. And it's funny because most of you who are scared to borrow money to put into something that's going to grow wealth will certainly ask to borrow money when you can't pay somebody else, like the bill collector or your utilities. So it doesn't make sense to borrow for that, because if you couldn't pay them, you couldn't pay the person you're borrowing from. It just buys you time. The reason that OPM is so important, using other people's money, is if you're an investor or you're an entrepreneur, it's all about return on investment. Everything is about return on investment. It's not about how big your salary is. It's not, because you don't have to worry about that. That's for people who have a job. Everything you do is about what is the percentage return on investment. So you will always have a greater return on investment using other people's money than you will using your own. And I know that sounds confusing, because it sounds like, well, the same amount of money in, same amount of money out is the same return on investment. No, it doesn't work that way. I'll give you a perfect example. So let's say you want to buy a piece of real estate and it costs $500,000. And for some crazy reason, you were able to save $500,000. So you have this $500,000 and you say, I'm going to buy a property, and you buy a property. And let's say after all your expenses are paid, at the end of the year, it produced $25,000 profit. And you say, wow, that's a great profit, $25,000. Well, what's the return on investment? If you put 500,000 in and you get 25,000 out, that's a 5% return on investment. You still say, hey, that's pretty good. It's better than a mutual fund, certainly better than your 401k, way better than a bank account. 5% is not bad. And yeah, 5% is not bad if you want $25,000 a year, right? And 5% return, not bad. Now, let's say we use other people's money. Let's say we find a property that's $500,000. And let's say we put $50,000 into the property and we finance the rest. So that means we put 50,000 in, we use 450,000 of someone else's money, whether it's the bank or private lender, whoever else it is. And let's say the rent from the building services the debt and covers expenses, and we made $25,000 at the end of the year. So if we made $25,000 at the end of the year, but we put in $50,000, that represents a 50% return on investment. I'd rather get a 50% return on investment and have $450,000 to do other investments with, or to live the life of my dreams with, as opposed to tying up $500,000 and getting a 5% return. So it is always more profitable to borrow the money, as long as what you borrow it for services the cost of the debt. Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And that goes for every investment that you do. That goes for every business venture that you go into. It's always more profitable to use other people's money. Your money is not to be used to be tied up in an investment and, again, deferred to some time in the future, hopefully to be able to use that money to enjoy life. No, your money is to enjoy life now. Other people's money is for you to invest to make money to enjoy your life now. Hopefully this is starting to sink in. I know it's like so foreign to most people because we just weren't raised that way. But if you want to be financially free, you have to shift your mindset over. Stop using your money to invest with. Use your money to enjoy your life now, not later. Okay, so the question was, how do you raise money? Well, as an investor, because I'm an investor, sometimes I invest in things, but don't ask me because I'm probably going to say no. If you're my student, my answer is always no. I'm not going to go into the whys. However, there are three things that an investor or potential investor is going to look at. One, they're going to look at the actual project itself, right? So, what is the deal? What is the project? They're going to look at the plan and they're going to look at the person. So, let me just break that down further. So, we look at the project or the deal. Is it a viable project? Do they believe it's a viable project right now? Not sometime in the future, not sometime in the past. Do they believe it's a viable project right now that has the ability to make money? So is it trending upward or is it trending downward? Because that makes a difference. It could be at its peak, it's starting to trend down. Maybe it's not such a good investment for the person. Maybe it's trending up. Maybe there's some government regulation, whatever the situation is. Maybe the market is cooling off, the economy is cooling, maybe the economy is on an upward trend. They look at these things. Is it a viable project to do right now? That's important. So if people don't believe your project is viable, they're not going to invest in it. If they think that the product or the service is not going to sell, they're not going to invest in it. If they think the piece of property is not in a good area, it's not going to produce, they're not going to invest in it. So the project itself is critically important. Along with that is, what is the deal that you're offering? So is the return on investment good enough based upon the time that they're going to get their money back and the risks that's involved? So the higher the risk, the higher the percentage return on investment they're going to be looking for, and maybe the quicker the return on the money that they'll be looking for. So the deal itself is critically important. Is it a viable project? Is the return on investment good? Is the risk, manageable? That's important. The next thing they're going to look at is the plan. Do you have a plan, not only for this thing to launch, but to grow, for it to be successful? Do you have a plan to manage it? Do you have a plan to market it? Do you have a plan for its growth? Do you have a plan to sustain it? Did you look at what the vulnerabilities are? Do you have contingencies for those vulnerabilities? Have you worked out everything that could go right and everything that could go wrong? And do you have a strategy to manage all of those things? Do you have a team? Do you have, government backing? Do you have other things in place? Do you have all the things in place that will make a person feel comfortable that your idea can actually be carried out? Do you have proof? What's the proof? Have you tested it? Have you tested it on a small scale? Has it made money yet? It's hard to come to somebody and ask for money when you haven't tested your theory. When you have a theory and a plan that hasn't been implemented on a small scale, it's very difficult for somebody to give you money. So you have to show in some way, shape, or form that not only do you have a plan, but you can demonstrate that the plan has worked or is going to work. So testing is really important. I say you have to test, you have to have multiple iterations, and you want to show them the results of all those tests. So I tested, this didn't work, so I shifted here. I did this and this worked, so I went and put more into it. And you have to demonstrate to somebody that not only do you have an idea, but you have a plan that's viable, that is testable, is provable, that you're confident will work, and they're confident that it will work. And you've looked at what could go wrong, and you've come up with contingencies to deal with the things that could go wrong. The third thing that people are going to look at is you, the person. Your personality is important. If you are an introvert, very difficult for people to get behind you. If you don't demonstrate that you have experience, very difficult for people to get behind you. And it doesn't have to be experience with that thing, but it has to be a relatable experience. I know I can pull this off because I did this, this, and this, and this very similar to what this is, and I know I can do it. If you don't have confidence, nobody's going to believe in you. If you can't sell your idea, then nobody's buying it. And so your credibility becomes important. Do people believe you? Do they trust you? They trust that not only will you pull it off, but that you'll pay them the way you say you're going to pay them. Do they trust that you'll do everything you can to make this thing a success and not walk away? So when they look at you, do you have any skin in the game? What's your risk? If all the risk is on everyone else and you have zero risk in this game and you haven't tested it, hard again to get somebody's money because unless you're paying them a ridiculous, again, return on investment, because if you have nothing to lose in this and they have everything to lose in this and you don't have experience and you don't have all these things, very difficult for somebody to get behind that. Um, so you want to demonstrate again trustworthiness, credibility, confidence, skills, experience, knowledge, an ability to work with others, flexibility. You want to demonstrate certain skills. If you don't demonstrate that, even if you have a great idea and a great plan, people won't get behind you. And so, again, the three things that are critically important: the project itself or the deal, the plan, and you. So the next step is, okay, how do I raise the money? So there are a lot of different ways you can do that. If you are not a good salesperson, if you are not very charismatic, then you probably shouldn't get in front of people. But if you are, if you know that you have the gift of gab, you have the ability to instill confidence in others, if you have the ability to passionately to sell your idea, then the best way to do it is face to face, whether that's one on one or with a group. If you can move a group, that's even better. But if you can do it, if you have to do it one on one, if that's the way you can move people and get people passionate the way you are about your idea, then do that. That's going to give a different energetic connection to people. So that's really important. If you don't have those skills, if you're not a good salesperson, if you're not very charismatic, if you're very introverted, then you should not be the one to be presenting the idea. You can get someone else to present the idea for you who's on your team, who has those skills and those characteristics. Or there's a third way, or a second way, third way. Um, you can write out a phenomenal proposal and get it in people's hands. If you don't have the writing skills, hire someone who can write. Just tell them what your ideas are and hire them to put it together for you. The presentation is critically important. People can sit with it, they can mull it over, they can look at it. Very important to have something on paper for people to look at. Another way is to create a slide presentation. They have all these programs now, these apps and things that put together phenomenal slide presentations. If you can't do it yourself, put together the slide presentation. They even have slide presentations where you can do a voiceover behind it so people don't have to see how horrified you are in the face. You can do the slides and just talk behind the slides and then present the slideshow. You can do videos if you feel comfortable being passionate behind the camera, but not necessarily in front of people. Do a good video that presents what it is that you're trying to push. You can do cutaways of the project. You can insert plans and have yourself being passionate. But some way, shape, or form, you have to get that in front of people. So who do you go to? And that was another part of the question. Well, where do you find funding? There are so many ways to find funding. It's just the list goes on and on. There are institutional lenders, right? So what are institutional lenders? There are banks, there are venture capitalists, there are angel investors. So where do you find these people? Every chamber of commerce can help you out. So every city has a chamber of commerce. Every locality has some type of chamber of commerce. Go there and find out. Every city government has a section where that deals with business and commerce. They can give you references for lenders, and especially new business, small business owners. The SBA, Small Business Administration, has loans. Go to your bank and see what they can offer you. You can Google, if you do a Google search of venture capitalists or angel investors, literally hundreds of thousands of investors will pop up on your screen. Same thing with hard money lenders. If you do hard money lenders, if you're in real estate, literally hundreds of thousands will pop up. You can get a trusted referral. So if it's in real estate, then you know a mortgage broker. Do you know somebody who does real estate? Well, who do they use? If you want to start a business, a friend of a friend or a friend of a mentor or a referral from me or somebody else. Well, who is it that you're going to go to? So there are so many lenders, professionals that people are sitting on money. They don't know what to do with it. And there's a thing they say that middle class finance the rich, because middle class people are always looking for a good structured investment. They make money by working hard. They don't know what to do with the money. They want a good return. They'll lend it to you if, again, the plan, the project, and you are credible. There are just, again, so many ways. Now, here's one thing that people are going to, again, want to know: how much skin in the game did you put in? So venture capitalists are not your first round of investors. They're going to want to know that you put some money into it some other way, shape, or form, and you've already tested it and you've shown that it can make money. Banks are going to make you have collateral. So the private investors, the small time investors, the small professionals, people things like the Lending Club, which is an institutional investor, but they do small loans, micro lenders. So you can Google micro lenders. There are, again, thousands of micro lenders that will lend you money. There's so much money that is out there. It's outrageous. If you have a PayPal account and you're a small business and you're getting rolling and you show that you've had a certain amount of payments, they'll lend you money. Again, you can get business credit. Business line of credit is a little different. There are so many ways for you to get money. But again, if you don't have those critical elements, you will not get a dime. So hopefully that answered the question definitively. Again, if it did not, please feel free to ask questions in the comment section. Everybody needs to be thinking about this now. It's time. If you want to be financially free, you cannot escape it. Your money is for you to enjoy your life with. It is not for you to tie up, use other people's money. That's part of the formula for success. So I do have some workshops coming up. I want to mention that. You can do it live at my location in Brooklyn or via live stream. So there's no excuse. Don't talk about it, it's time to be about it. It's brand new. I want to share some new insights and things that I've developed over the last year. So make sure that you register, make sure you participate, make sure that you tell your friends that you care about, your family. Again, let's make this a movement and let's get financially free this year. See you next week.